All right, we're back for another show, and today I've got Bernie with me. How's it going, Bernie?
Good, Andrew. Thanks for having me, man. I know
Yeah,
busy week last week. We were scheduled to talk last week, but I'm glad I could make it work today.
yeah. You know what? To get no schedules, man. You got you got a busy schedule, and I've got one. So I'm glad we're finally able to connect.
Hmm.
Bernie has owned and been president of a team in the Major Arena Soccer League, the Ontario Fury, which is out in the LA area. You know,
Hmm.
he and I competed against each other when I was with the St. Louis Ambush and the Florida Tropic. So it was always fun. Bernie has done, I thought, an extremely good job building ticket sales departments and putting butts in seats. So it'll be fun to kind of hear his transition because he's a former professional soccer player and then went into the front office. Sometimes those transitions don't go so well, but you've done a great job, Bernie. So uh, why don't you start off with just your career, your playing career all the way up until where you're at now.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that intro and the kind words. Do I owe you $20 now, or do I Venmo it to you, or what is
That's
it?
50, buddy. Come on.
Um, yeah, basically, I've been an athlete, a professional athlete, pretty much my entire life. I started young, probably when I was about 18, 19 years old, but continued on all the way into almost mid 40s. Playing at the pro level, indoor soccer, outdoor soccer. But the one thing that always intrigued me was when we showed up at the stadium as players. You look around and I saw so many people there working, and the front office of the teams obviously had quite a few people there, but the game day staff, the PA announcer, the people playing the music, just all the different staff that it took to put on an event. And it intrigued me, while I was a player early on in my career. And I really just kind of went into a lot of the front offices and talked to the GMs and the president, said, hey, can I intern? Even though I'm a player and a pro player, I'd love to figure out how this business side works. And I just entrenched myself, with a lot of the pro teams that I played with, unbeknown to a lot of the players and coaches. Honestly, I just went in and I volunteered and I helped out in the front office. And it just blew my mind how much work actually goes into putting on a sports team, sports leagues, an event. Even just one game event is a lot of work. So I was really intrigued, and really that's where I knew as a player my next chapter would be somehow, some way involved in behind the scenes on the business side of sports. And crazy me, just like you and a lot of these other indoor soccer owners, we kind of decided to do indoor soccer, and it's been great. And now that I'm out of it for a whole 3 weeks now, I created another project to kind of connect guys like yourself and me and all these other crazies that have a passion for indoor soccer, and try and create this alumni association and really help promote the game of indoor soccer.
I'll tell you what, the game of indoor soccer is such an awesome sport.
It really is.
I mean, I got into it, well, when I was a kid, I played soccer, and I remember I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We had the Hershey Impact back then, real close to
Right.
Harrisburg. It was kind of
Right.
Harrisburg and Hershey, and the
Yeah,
Hershey Impact were there.
I played in Harrisburg for 3 years, so I remember Hershey right down the street, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, right there. And so as a kid, it's like we do it, we've done it, with our teams is I called it the play like the pros, where the
Mhm.
kids get to come out, they play on the field before or after the game or whatever. And I remember that as a kid. But those kind of memories are what, stay with you. I mean, I'm 41 and, I had to be probably, I don't know, 8 to 12. I don't even remember, but I do
Yeah.
remember being in Hershey Park Arena, historic Hershey Park Arena before the
Mhm.
game. And it was so cool. And the game, it's like I kind of got away from soccer, got into arena football, played football. And then the league called me about putting a team in St. Louis.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not a soccer guy. And then I thought back to that experience, and then I started talking to other people involved. And um, I know when I went to my first league meetings, they didn't really like me because I wasn't a soccer guy. Now,
Well,
after the good,
interesting is, you said a couple interesting things there that you still remember going to the arena as a kid, 8, 9, 10 years old. And really, isn't that what this is all about? All the different, sports, doesn't matter what sport it is. We're not really selling the sport. So you don't need to be a soccer guy. You're selling what? The experience,
yeah,
memories to people, and
yeah,
that's something that quickly I learned once I finished playing soccer and I jumped into the executive side of things and selling tickets and groups and etc. That you really, figured it out that we're not selling the sport of indoor soccer. You're really selling those
entertainment, fun.
family nights out, the memories, and we do our job on the entertainment side of things. What you just said, we're selling entertainment. If someone leaves and doesn't even remember who won or lost the game, but remember they had such a great time, which your story there about a kid at the Impact Games is spot on.
Yeah, no, and you see it all the time. And these, but these guys that didn't like that aspect of it, they thought that you needed that to be able to stay long term in the game. That soccer passion. But I'm like you and everybody else that's in it. We're competitive. We're highly competitive, and it doesn't matter the sport. It doesn't matter really anything. I mean, we want to win at everything. And
Right.
so, I mean, I became a super fan of, indoor soccer as well. And,
Right.
it was some big battles.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong, and you hear it all the time. Go to one indoor soccer game and you're hooked, and it's true. A lot of people that get exposed to it. It's a great game. It's been around since the '70s. Almost quietly under the radar the last 20 or so years, but great sport. And I disagree with that you need to be a soccer guy and passionate about it. I mean, I'm extremely passionate about indoor soccer, and I played it throughout my professional career, and I've stuck with it as a coach, a GM, an owner, etc. But I disagree with that. I wish just because you're competitive on the field and you want to win championships, I wish in a lot of those boardrooms over the years and in future boardrooms that they're more competitive on how many tickets have they sold or how many sponsors
Exactly.
did they get. That's where you need to be competitive. And honestly, that's where Major League Baseball, minor league baseball, I should say any major league sport, all the other minor league sports, that's where they have the leg up on us, is that they understand that there's only going to be one champion at the end of the year, right,
Yeah.
on the field. But everyone can be successful. Every single team can be a champion off the field and in the community. So hopefully that'll change in the future, and indoor soccer's got a bright future.
I think the challenge is people get into the business, especially like I call them like rookie owners. So somebody who's never owned a team before, and you've been in the meetings. They all think that if they win, it's going to sell tickets. They're going to fill their arenas up all of a sudden. And I
Right.
mean, I think you need to be competitive,
Of
but
course.
I mean, I think I'm a perfect example. Our team sucked in St. Louis for 3 seasons.
Right.
We were not good wins and losses.
Mhm.
However, we did very well on ticket sales, fan experience, that kind of thing. So I think if more of these teams, especially, you have some, it's like the New York Yankees and, the Red Sox of the league with these big budgets, if they would spend maybe a little bit more on the front office, then they
Right.
could have a packed house and a championship caliber team, as opposed
Right.
to, let's win at all cost and then not have that, fan base that you could have had. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think it's coming. I think it's, it's starting to develop, and the one good thing, I guess you could say, out of a pandemic, and we paused right now and you kind of reevaluate how you're doing business, is exactly that. The good thing is hopefully, everyone's looking and kind of not reinventing the wheel, but restarting your company, the way that you were doing stuff. We've always been stuck on this hamster wheel, I call it, day by day, living like crazy. And here all of a sudden, I mean, we're I'm stuck in my kid's room here right now, during a
right.
pandemic, doing the 50 million Zoom call in the last couple of months. But it's a time for us to reset, reevaluate, and I think hopefully that hopefully the powers that be in the MASL are looking at that And the same way you have standards and procedures on the field and the league regulations and rules for the players. You know, there's a number of, you can only have 20 men active on a roster, for example. I would love to see that where, you can't be in this league if you don't have a minimum 12 salespeople, 5 marketing people, etc. That would be pretty cool and a different way of looking at the business from before. And I guarantee you, I've seen it. You know, we shared a building here with the Ontario Reign in the AHL. Man alive. You know, we've got 3 or 4, and we do well. You know, the Fury did really well in attendance and sponsorships, but we had, 6, 8, maybe 10 people at any given time working. They have 32, So there's a big difference between selling out every night and getting 3,000 or 4,000 and leaving 3,000 or 4,000 seats open. It's the front office staff, 100%.
Yeah. Well, my first year in St. Louis, the major indoor soccer league was run by USL. And there's some things I don't like about the USL, but the one thing, though, that you learn to appreciate is just some of the standards. And they had that, like, where you had to have X number of full-time people in specific positions. And I get that it's kind of intrusive on your business, but at the same time, it's in everyone's best interest. So I did like that aspect of it. But for me going into the MISL, I'm not a money guy. I've never claimed that I've got all this money, and I've been fortunate. I've had some great years. I've had some piss poor years, but I would what I would call the lower end of ownership in there. So some of those requirements were pushing the envelope for me because it created more expense. And when you're an operator, like I call myself, it's all about keeping that budget as tight and as efficient as possible. But you still need those people. Even in St. Louis, we had, I'd say we probably averaged 6 full-time people, throughout the 3 years. I mean, our first year we had more, and then it kind of fluctuated, but got to have that.
Yeah, but on that point too, money is great, and we hear this all the time. You hear it, in all the different indoor soccer meetings, not just the MISL, all the different leagues over, however many, 14 or 15 of them that have been around in the last 40 years. They're looking for big, wealthy, ownership groups. But sometimes, I kind of tend to favor, the ones that are hungry, that need to make this work, that are hustling and treat it like a business, not just a side gig. You know what I mean? So I think that's
easy to cut that side gig at any time.
Right.
But if it's your livelihood, or it's what you've got everything into this, you're gonna go down, fighting.
Yeah, and you're working hard, you're hustling, and you're hungry. You need to put food on the table. So you're hungry, you're out there working, day by day. So I wouldn't discredit that at all in any, not just ownership group. I think, for all the sports professionals out there. Now I watch your show here, and everyone that, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the bad side, so many layoffs, and people, are stuck at home and not working and doing what we want to do. But, that hunger that they have, that hustle, everyone's pivoting now and trying to do different things. But if you have that hunger, you're going to rise to the top pretty quickly in any organization that you join. So, whether it's ownership group, whether it's, we always relate it to sports, the players that are hungry, the players that are putting in that extra time and work rise to the top. Same with the professional, executives and really ownership groups. It'd be kind of crazy to see ownership groups, the average Joe's owning it. You'd see how hard they'd work to make their small mom and pop shop operate and put food on the table. So.
Oh yeah. How was your transition going from playing to owning? And when you first became owner, were you still playing, or?
Oh yeah. No, I was playing, and then I became the player head coach. So that was my first transition, and that was tough. I mean, you go from being a teammate in the locker room, one of the boys, joking around, to literally, 1 minute later, when the coach is the head coach, you're the enemy. You know what I mean? You're on management side. You're not getting the invites to go out with the boys on Friday night or whatever anymore, So that was extremely tough. And then I think the tough part as well was going from that world of the soccer operations side, meaning a player, a coach, or a GM, because you've got the best interest of the team and the players, and you want to win, and that's your job. Your job is to win games. So you're not worried about the marketing and the business side of things. I think the hard transition was when you do jump to the management side, and especially the ownership side, and you can relate to this. How much does that bus cost to take the team to, that road trip? And do we have to spend 3 days on the road, or can we just go and come back? Like, you forget really, I mean, you don't forget, because I never forget, as a player, you want to be treated right. And you earn the right to be a professional athlete. You want to get treated, well. But at the same time, boy, when you get to the management side, so I think that was really the toughest adjustment of, whoa, you have the best interests of the team and the players, and you want to give them every chance and every tool to win on the field, and you want to win, but you have to have that little balance act of, hey, if you're not frugal in certain areas, or you're not smart spending the money in certain areas, that this team won't be around. So you're responsible for a lot of thoughts and a lot of sleepless nights, for sure. That was the toughest part for me.
So how was it though? Because you were still so close to playing. And I always look at this when I hire a new coach that maybe was a former player, is
right.
How is that transition when you have to start negotiating player contracts?
Yeah,
and especially when it's like guys that have been teammates of yours, or it's such a small fraternity, like, our league and business. So it's like, everyone, even on other teams.
Oh yeah.
But then they're like, you're a player, what, you want as a player, but then now you're starting to see the management side, like, okay, now I'm seeing why,
right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I got thrown into the fire right away. When I first basically said, I'm going to do this all on my own. And it was just myself, my wife, our family, basically, both of our families that own the team. So we're technically a mom and pop shop now. We don't have any other investors or ownership group or anybody else that's helping us. You know how they always say, you either win or you get experience, you don't lose. I got a lot of experience that first year when it was on our own, because we are talking to players that I played with and that I coached before and that I remembered. And, I still had that mentality of a player mentality, going, what, this player XYZ, he does deserve this much money, et cetera, et cetera. Boy, did I find out real quickly when payroll came around, probably the third time, of going, whoa, this is not good. So I learned the hard way, but that's good. I learned, and you get experience from that. And at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that we can do with a lot of these minor league markets, especially indoor soccer, I'm talking about that, but the arena footballs of the world, NLL, all the other minor league sports, is really educate the players. And I think some of the other sports like lacrosse, they're way more advanced than indoor soccer, meaning the players, the coaches, the team personnel really do understand the economics of the sport, that it's not just pay me all this money because I'm a really good indoor soccer player. Yes, you probably deserve to get that money, but let's look at what the market will bear, meaning
what's realistic. Yeah.
Realistic with what it's a business still, ticket revenue, sponsorships, et cetera, that, merchandise sales, you got to balance that out and have a percentage of salary towards the players. So, but yeah, that was a tough one for me. I learned the hard way the first year, and, it was tough, but I pounded through it.
Well, I don't think I've probably met a single owner who didn't overspend in the first year, at least.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've all been there. I know I did. I know I was like, like every owner coming in those meetings every year saying they're going to sell out and how, they have such a soccer community and whatnot. But it's always interesting, because you try to tell them, like, hey, but you don't want to be negative. You don't want to come across as, down, but it's so much work. And like what you said is you got a nice taste of that while you were playing, that probably a lot of players, they don't realize, and some of them probably don't care what it takes to build that. But I think players would rather play in front of filled arenas than
100%.
empty stadiums. So
100%.
you
Yeah.
got to get them to buy in. And
Mm-hmm.
I had Corey Adamson on this show like early on. Corey played for me in St. Louis. He's played in the league a little bit. I brought him down to Orlando this year to help at the end. He didn't get paid a lot. He was one of my first signings. He came to an open tryout, and I think he was like $500 a month that first year. It was like that was our low guy, but he kind of got focused on how he could build his own brand and how he can use this to catapult him off the field to make more money than he'll ever make on the field. And he's like a perfect example of what I try to pound into all these guys is like, that's how you really make it. Don't be short-sighted on, playing for 4 months, when you could have income for, years, and especially transitioning as a player. I mean, at least you had a vision to get into the front office side of it and not just rely on your playing ability, because who knows how long that will last.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of Corey, great ambassador for the game, great guy. I've met him on numerous occasions, and he just comes across as a really good person, a good human being, and he's one of the few that get it. But, on the flip side of it, you don't expect that, the players are there to play, and win games and compete. So you don't really expect every single one of them. So I understand their point of view. Just saying it would be kind of cool to get the Corys of the world and other players, because there's some players out there that, they're working full-time gigs and full-time jobs at the same time, and they're playing indoor soccer for the love. It'd be really cool to get those guys to really, mentor some of these other players and say, hey, indoor soccer, not only is it a 4-month season, but I mean, it's been up and down, right? All these 40 years that, a team, a league could go away with the snap of a finger, and you're seeing it right now. I think, speaking of St. Louis, the news just came out today that the USL team there, folded, or they're going to be closing operations at the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
Which is a shocker. Yeah, exactly.
They started, I think, the year after we did.
Right. I mean, obviously, I know there's a big MLS team coming in there right now,
that's, I think, 2 years away still.
A couple years, but just goes to show this pandemic was very real for a lot of people, and that's one of the more, I would call, successful USL clubs. So, basically relate that back to the players. It'd be good to have, guys like Corey mentor these guys and say, hey, use the platform that you have as a player to promote your brand, promote whatever else you got going on, get that education, make connections, make networks, as I did as a player, so that way you take care of your future afterwards.
So when you kind of got into it, you were still, playing, coaching. How were you doing anything else? I mean, I know how much time, that takes, and just, emotionally and, physically. So how could you handle it?
Yeah, it just, you have to, you figure out a way, just like we're all figuring out a way now, how to handle where the situation that you're in. So you have to pivot, you have to adjust, you got to do whatever you got to do to make it work. So it was tough. Those are some of the toughest years of my life, being wearing multiple hats, and really just having this passion and belief that, man, indoor soccer, it'll work here in the Southern California market, even though there's 2 NFL teams, 2 NBA teams, 2 Major League Baseball, 2 basketball, 2 hockey. I mean, hundreds of minor league teams here. I still were saying, I'm not worried about all of them. I think indoor soccer can still work, and people thought I was crazy. So it took a toll. It was some hard 7 years here to get the Fury to where it is, but it's also some of the fun, the best moments and the fun times that I've had, and some of the rewarding experiences at the same time. And that's what working in sports does for you. You get the bad and the spectrum from, this is the worst day in the world, to the best day in the world. And that was like from 9 o'clock in the morning to, getting 300
like that. Yeah.
Get that one yes. And it's like, whoa, adrenaline. So we're always fighting for that. But yeah, we put a lot of work here the last 7 years. It was tough to step down and let it go, but they're in good hands. And the proudest moments I have that my wife and I have is the Fury is a household name now in Southern California. We're up there with the Ontario Reign and the Dodgers. We've done a lot of stuff with them and different projects. So it's so cool to see when we're at like sports, those sports networking events where you're looking to hire people to come into your organization and get their resumes and talk with them. You see the Dodgers, the Angels, the Lakers, the Kings, and the Fury. I mean, that's pretty cool. So those are the type of things that, those are the wins, I guess, at the end of the day that you get. So it's tough, but, there's a lot of cool rewards as well on the other side.
When you were with the Fury, where did you learn the ticketing side? Because I know, just from talking with you, I think last year's league meetings and, you've done some of those exhibition games in other cities and have had success. Like, is there like a specific philosophy that you have on it, or it just is a combination of things that, you've kind of been throwing up against the wall for the last few years?
No, I wish, I think we threw things against the wall when we first started, and we found out really quickly that doesn't work. You know what I mean? I'd love to take all the credit, but, James Collins, he's really the one. He was the premium sales director for Citizens Business Bank Arena at the time. Now it's called Toyota Arena. It's an AG facility, so he was working for AG. And right now, I believe he's one of the directors or ticket directors or one of the top people for the LA Kings, which is still, in the AEG family. And he has his own little academy now called ASCA, ASCA. I'm going to connect you to. He's a really good guy that you should have on your podcast. But he's really the one. He was director of ticketing for the arena at the time when we brought the Fury here. And the GM of the building at the time, Steve Eckerson, who's now up in Bakersfield, he said, hey, I think you're going to need some help with ticketing. How about, we have James, who's our director of ticketing for the arena, also double and help you guys out with the Fury. He's the one that helped start the Reign kickoff when they started. He's just a good guy, good resource to have. So no brainer for us. James was working basically for us, trained all our ticket sales staff, trained myself, trained all the other people that were involved. And It was a really cool experience. So yeah, James Collins, he's the one. You look up ASCA, ASCA, James Collins, he's legit the guru at ticketing, especially out here in Southern California. And he'll tell you he learned from, Bob Hammer and all these other guys and different other sales, ticket salespeople. Lately, we've been doing a lot, the last year or so, the Ultimate Sales Toolkit with Steve DeLay. He's one of them that, we've bought into that program as well. And there's not one way to sell tickets. There's a million different ways, but it's all the same concept at the end of the day, going through the objections and all the different stuff. And, but James Collins was really the one that set everything up for us. And then the last year or so, really been following Steve DeLay and those guys, John Spolstra.
Okay. Yep. Where is your next team going to be?
Ooh, I know,
we can't stay out of it that long. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it. I mean, if I say it too loud, I'm in my kids' room right now, like I said, because the family's running around in there. I may be stuck here, Andrew, in the little twin bed that's right here. You know what I mean? If I bring up, I'm going to start another team. Yeah, you too, right? We'll be roommates. No, there's no, I mean, obviously, there's always that fire. And for me, I'm always looking at, man, I can help that team. I can do this. I can do that. But you never want to get rid of that fire and that hunger and that, creativity. But really right now, I'm really zoomed in and focused on this new Indoor Soccer Alumni organization that I founded. And I'm really putting all my attention and focus on it. And, basically, in a nutshell, it's, protecting the past history of these past 40, 50 years of the sport and really working with a lot of historians to tell the stories of indoor soccer, which I think will be, so cool when you're looking on ESPN one day and seeing these little E60 stories of indoor soccer and where it started and all the cool characters that made the game of what it is today. but then really help the current teams and different leagues and amateur leagues promote indoor soccer too. Be a platform for them. There is no real platform if you think about it. We were all on our own, right? You were on your own in
Yep.
St. Louis. I was in Ontario. Everyone else around the country. You're kind of on your own doing your own thing. And I hate when people say, well, that's the league's job. Not really. You know what I mean? The league's got a lot of other things that they're worried about. It's not their number one job to market, St. Louis and Ontario and do
Yep.
that stuff. It's part of it, but that's not their number one job. So created this platform that we can help promote the game. And then really, for me, being such a diehard fan, and this is where I started, and this is my entire life is indoor soccer. What's the sport going to look like in the next 50 years? When my son turns my age, is indoor soccer going to, still be around, or are people even going to remember the sport? So that's really my new project and what I'm behind right now. And we'll see down the road if, I text you at 4:00 in the morning saying, hey, Andrew, you want to jump on board with me on this new venture? And then we'll both be single.
Right. Yeah. I think Leah's made that pretty clear to me. Like, there's no more teams, but then she did say I could do what I want. So I'm going to remember that part of it.
Knowledge is the new currency. Remember that, man. Knowledge is new currency right now. You got a lot of knowledge. So I wouldn't put it past you that you'll help another team or start your own venture again down the road. You never know. Never say no.
Yeah. That's what you don't make that mistake. Say that. So with the alumni, is this going to be, player alumni? Is this like, am I considered indoor soccer alumni?
You're an alumni. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. It's a work in progress. It's one of those things, man, during the pandemic, I read so many books. I've watched so many self-education videos, I've been, and I can pull out quotes from all over the place now. You think I'm some Tony Robbins guru, you know what I mean? But Walt Disney always said it, an idea is just an idea until you start it, and I really been sitting on this thing for, way back when I was a player, 15, 20 years ago. I always thought of this alumni, like, man, the NFL has that alumni, or NHL does, NBA, baseball does. How come we don't in indoor soccer? Oh yeah, we've had 15 different leagues that you can't keep track of it. So it's not really tied into one particular league. It's just indoor soccer alumni in general, because we've got, so many different people that have been involved. But really, it's the players, the coaches, the referees, the staff, the ownership groups, everyone that's been a part of indoor soccer at one point or another, from when it started back in the 70s up until now. And really a place where we can all come together and honor the past, which is kind of cool, and look back at everything that we've all done, but also come together once a year, twice a year, and have different, digital platforms that we're working on now to keep in touch. I said this on another podcast a couple of weeks ago. How cool is that we have one alumni like yourself? Where are you at right now? Are you down in Florida still, or
Orlando?
Okay. Yeah. So you're in Orlando. You're always hustling. You got different stuff going on. You're looking for a graphic designer, for example. Well, how cool is that? Another resource for you is in our Rolodex of thousands of alumni in the indoor soccer world. There's a graphic designer that just graduated, just got his thing. It's kind of cool that we can connect and take care of each other in the indoor soccer world. So there's a lot of different ways that this thing can go. But to answer your question in a short answer, it's everybody that's been involved, referees, booster club members, everybody.
Nice. I like that. Like having like some sort of directory almost, available that could show, different services and products that former alumni have to offer, and, put in there where they're alumni of. So I take it there'll be memberships for probably, alumni businesses that can join as well.
Exactly.
Is all that on the website now?
It's not on there yet. I wish.
Okay.
I wish that worked that quick. Yeah, it's a work in progress. Like I said, just started. I literally launched this thing last Saturday, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And the response has been huge. I mean, I really want buy-in and feedback and involvement from everybody. And a lot of players, a lot of former players, coaches, all executives, all kinds of people have really reached out going, man, this is so cool. How can I help?
Yeah.
There you go. Sorry.
There we go.
I got another call on my phone and I unmuted I really want to get all the alumni involved in it. So we're working behind the scenes on all this different stuff with the directories and whatever. And someone like Phil Savaggio, he owns a big tequila company now, right?
Yeah.
Perfect for him. Advertising and marketing and spread the word to the tens of thousands of alumni that are out there, and take care of our own and support Phil's business.
Tequila is pretty damn good too.
And it's really good, yeah. So I mean, I've mentioned him and his tequila on every show I've done in the last 2 weeks.
Are you a spokesperson? What's going on here?
I'm trying to be. I'm trying to get at least just one bottle sent to my house, but I haven't got it yet. So we can start talking about some other tequilas, and maybe that'll get them.
No, that's good, man. Well, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing, the alumni, business grow. And I think it's great because it is such a small world. And I think it's going to be a great way to just stay connected with, people and remember all the fun times and the fun stories that, we can't talk about on podcasts because they're too crazy for people to even comprehend. But
yeah, but think about this, I'm setting up just like it is any other, entertainment industry. We're looking for a lot of people to work. If you do go to the website, which is indoorsocceralumni.com, and you click on staff, you'll see a long list of 15 different positions that we're looking for, because we want to really turn this into something that's going to be long-term. It's providing jobs for people. We need people to reach out to alumni and sell memberships in a sense when it gets to that level, but also service them. We're really close with some of the car rental places and hotels and different places that if you're an alumni, you get a discount on this
right
car rental place, no matter where you are in the world, because you're part of the Indoor Soccer Alumni. So a lot of cool sales positions and business development. And like I said, it's go to indoorsoccer.com, indoorsocceralumni.com, and you can check out all the job opportunities that we have for all your listeners out there that are looking for some positions. And right now it's 100% work from home, so it's pretty cool.
Nice. Well, and that's the cool thing. I mean, it's nationwide. Will there eventually be like local chapters or
100%?
Okay, cool.
Yep. So
maybe even have teams, so
you're like me, man. You got a million ideas. I love it. So we've thought about a lot of stuff. Obviously you got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. So a lot of stuff, ideas on the board that we're going to be eventually launching, but it takes some time, and we want to make sure we do it right. Right now, step one is just get the awareness out. Let's reach as many indoor soccer fans and alumni as possible to let them know this is brand new. We've done everything just through social media right now. Haven't really, really gone the extra mile to really reach out. We're trying to let this thing kind of go viral on its own. And then in the next couple of weeks, we'll start blowing it up. So you'll start hearing a lot more. Yeah.
Well, I see a lot of people already talking about it, especially on Facebook and LinkedIn. So anything that I can do to help, promote that, just let me know. But it's going to be fun.
And vice versa. You're alumni, so we want to promote this show. It's great stuff. I tune in, like I said, as much as I can and listen to all your guests. It's so cool, all the different range of people that you have on here. And it's cool to hear their stories, right? It's cool to hear their stories, and also that hustle that some of these people have as well, their little elevator pitch that they're giving you. Pretty cool. So love the show. Really happy with what you've done with it. And it just goes to show, man, there's a lot of creative people out there, just like yourself, that, don't let anything stop you. You got to pivot sometimes, and may not be the path that you're taking that you thought you were going to take, but this is so cool. I love this stuff.
Yeah, no, well, I'm sure this is going to have similar success for you. And there's one thing I've learned about indoor soccer is, the alumni, the fans, there's like true passion there and loyalty. And I know you guys have had some, I think you've put on some all-star games or alumni games before. I know we have in St. Louis. So it's amazing if you look back, because there's so many people out there now that are older than us that in their 50s, 60s that, were playing in the MISL back in the 80s.
Oh yeah. No, I opened up a can of worms here, man. I mean, I'm hearing from those people. Trust me. they're telling me going, no, Bernie, you got it wrong. You know, MISL was not the inventor of indoor soccer. It was, and they, you know, and I hear it and I love it. I love to hear their stories, and their passion in their voice is like, this is pretty cool. We did this for those guys as well. You know, the past, you know, honoring these guys that really were the reason why you jumped in and were an owner for St. Louis and I was in Ontario. There's a lot of people that came before us. So,
well, I nominate Brian Roth to be your membership director because he knows everyone. He's got everyone's phone number.
I love that guy. No, he's going to be involved. You know what I mean? Him and there's so many guys like that are out there. But you know, Brian, you know, right away, he hates the word arena soccer, by the way. I know that.
Yeah.
100%. So when I said it's the Indoor Soccer Alumni, he's like, I'm in. If it was arena soccer, I'm out.
I can 100% hear him saying that.
Oh, Brian's an awesome guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him many a times. He did great work in St. Louis. I think he's not there now anymore, just like a lot of us aren't involved, you know, with the teams at the league level yet or right now. But great guy, you know, and no brainer that I want to have him involved in this. So.
Yeah. He's good. All right, Bernie. Well, thanks again for finally connecting, and glad you were able to make it.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me. Keep up the good work. I tune in all the time, and, you know, we'll give you some love on all of our social media networks as well to, you know, tune into the show and click the links and see what you got going on. Appreciate you, brother.